Welcome to Supreme Master Television. Today we're here in New York City with a very special chef, Eco Chef Love. She's going to show us a little bit of some of her delicious cooking creations.
Since I specialize in Southern soul food, which is vegan, today I'm going to teach you and your viewers how to make a versatile vegan cheese sauce that you can use many different ways. And the cheese sauce, for those people out there who are gluten-free and celiac, is also gluten-free. So the first thing we want to do is measure our soy milk. And for people who have allergies to soy, you can use almond milk, you can use rice milk, whatever milk alternative non-dairy milk works best for you. So first we measure out 2 3/4 cups of soy milk. And preferably you would want to use a non-stick pan. But if you don't have a non-stick pan, don't worry about it. Okay. So once you pour your soy milk or your nut milk into your pan, you turn the pan on medium-high. And you let that come to a simmer. But be careful not to scald it and not to have your burner up too high. And while we're waiting for that to simmer, then we're going to take our pre-measured 1 1/4 cup of an additional soy or nut milk and pour that into a bigger bowl. We're also going to slowly add, and this is for the gluten-free people, 1/4 cup of any gluten-free flour that you have, or if you're not celiac or gluten-free, 1/4 cup of a healthy flour like a brown rice flour. This will be used to make the thickener for the cheese sauce. And if you have a whisk, it works better because that way it'll get all the lumps out. We're going to use a blender for this recipe. So we want to finish adding the rest of the flour. And you do this while the milk is simmering, so that way when it's finished simmering, your thickener is already ready to go.
How did you get started with this cooking and vegan baking?
I've always loved food, and I've always loved to cook. And I'm from the South, so I've always loved cake. And my mother, I'm from North Carolina, and she was well known for her pound cakes. So I was actually her apprentice. So years later, after eating so much of the wrong types of food, a lot of animal protein, a lot of very unhealthy sweets, my mother died from complications of diabetes, so I stopped. And that's actually what led me to vegan baking, because once the sicker my mother got, the more I refused to bake for anyone. I actually just stopped baking for people because I didn't want to cook for people and have them get sick. So I refused to make any food until I found that there was a better way. Then I started baking again because I don't use sugar, be it organic sugar, vegan sugar, any types of sugar in my desserts. So once I found agave, which is a low glycemic sweetener, then I started baking again. And I actually am a chocolatier. I went to school to become a chocolatier. So we're just going to stir this a little bit. And if your milk gets what I call a little bit of a skin on top, again, don't worry about it. That's what the blender is for. A new person to cooking can make this with no problem. And be careful, because once it starts simmering, it gets really hot. So what we did, we just slowly poured in the thickener into the sauce. And this is where things start to happen fast with the sauce. I know a lot of people are allergic to soy out there, and not everyone has access to soy butter. I'm using 2 tablespoons of organic canola oil. You can actually also add 2 tablespoons of olive oil, whatever vegetable oil that you have in your house. Just try to make it organic. And constantly keep an eye on your sauce. If it starts to boil up too quickly, just turn it down. And what I'll do is I'm going to add nutritional yeast for your B vitamins. Yes, do not be shocked. This sauce has B vitamins in it. This is not like your normal cheese sauce that's full of cholesterol and lactose. And nutritional yeast also helps give it a golden color. I just pull the pan off. And when you're cooking at home, if your sauce starts to cook a little bit too fast, don't be afraid to pull the sauce off to the side. And that's what I'm doing in this case, because even on the lowest heat, it was cooking up a little bit too fast. Only 2 ingredients you have to worry about what order to put this in your sauce is first you do your alternative milk, and then you do your thickener, and then the rest of your ingredients, it really doesn't matter. So this is our mustard, organic mustard we're using. That was 1 tablespoon of mustard. And for the nutritional yeast, it was 1/2 cup of nutritional yeast. And then this is 1 teaspoon of, I prefer sea salt, very fine. For those of you who are watching your salt, you can leave the salt out or put just a pinch of salt. We're going to add what I call one of my favorites is now in the U.S., I think in Canada, they have a cheese, vegan cheese that melts. It's called Daya. It's nut-free and soy-free. So we're going to add 1 8-ounce package of the cheddar flavor to the sauce. And because the cheddar flavor and the mozzarella flavor has different flavor profiles, I like to use a bag of each one. And we only are going to return this to the heat and heat it just until it starts to melt, because that's it. Because once you start blending it, it'll blend and be very smooth. One way that you can use this sauce that kids would love is when you make French fries, you can actually put this on your French fries. And kids love cheese sauce or anything. You can put this on your veggie burgers. You can put this cheese sauce on your vegan hot dogs, because in the South we love cheese sauce. In the South we love cheese sauce just about on everything. So you can actually put this vegan cheese sauce on your hot dogs. I would say about a medium size or a large saucepan, so when you stir it up, it will won't boil over. And I'm just going to mix this in away from the heat, so that way when I return it to the heat, I've already mixed both of the cheeses in. We're going to blend it in the blender, and then we're going to make nachos and cheese with a little unique twist. And then we're also going to use the same cheese sauce, add a little spinach to it, and use it as a sauce for pasta. So we're just going to add this back to the burner. How long I like this to stay on the burner for is just until I start to see the cheese start to melt. That way when I know when I put it in the blender that it's hot enough, and it will just totally melt, and it will become a beautiful cheese color. So in the U.S., one of the things people like to do in the U.S. during professional football or college is they like to have tailgating parties before the game or during the game. And what a tailgating party is you invite some friends over and you make this whole spread of food. If you know a vegetarian is coming over to your tailgating party, you can impress them by making this dish. Now I'm going to turn up the heat just a little bit more, because I want the cheese to speed up melting just a little bit. You can start to see that the sauce is thickening now with the cheese, and I just want the cheese to melt just a little bit more. I want it to be a little bit warmer when I put into the blender. You notice the color of the sauce has started to look like the color of a regular cheese sauce there, so that means that the cheddar flavor is melted in, and I'm going to cook it just a little bit more, and then we're going to put it into the blender. The one thing I want your viewers to know is to see how lumpy the sauce is right now. In this case, not to fear, because that's what your food processor or your blender is for. And I'll maybe give it another 30 seconds. Carefully pour this into your blender. And when you are putting this into your blender, make sure you leave enough space, empty space at the top, because this will overflow if you fill it up too much. So you want to leave at least 2 cups at the top so you won't have a big mess on your hand. We'll always make sure the bottom of the blender is screwed on really tight, or else you can start it and then you will have sauce flying everywhere. And if your blender that you use is not a very powerful blender, pulse it until you get it blended so you won't burn it out. But if you have a Vitamixer or another type of powerful blender, just blend away. And with this one, I'm just going to pulse. And when you're working with a blender that's not as powerful, you might want to just stir it up, the contents up, to help it speed along. And some people may not have a blender to work with, so if you don't have a blender to work with, then you take a whisk and just put a little more arm power in it and make it work. Okay? See how the color and the consistency has changed? It looks just like the cheese sauce that you get in the stores. And I'm just going to put it back and blend it for another maybe minute. But basically the cheese sauce is done. But okay, I want you to get a close up and see, remember how thick and lumpy the sauce was before? The sauce is smooth and creamy now.
Oh, it looks so good.
Viewers, this is our cheese sauce. So you can make a big batch like this and actually put it in a container and freeze it. But when we return briefly, we're going to start with our nachos.
Please join us again Wednesday, May 6th to watch EcoChef Love transform this melted vegan cheese into a nacho supreme and cheesy spinach pasta dish. Yum! We'll also hear how she got started in her vegan cooking adventures.
One person can make a difference, and every meal that you eat that is meat-free, dairy-free, egg-free, and seafood-free, you can consider yourself an eco-hero for Mother Earth. So rock on, all you eco-heroes out there.
Find out more about EcoChef Love and Earthfriend Vegan Catering by visiting www.ecocheflove.com or call 1-415-412-1336. And now, excellent viewers, please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television for Between Master and Disciples, coming up next. Wishing you nature's bounty in this beautiful new week.
For more details, please visit www.suprememastertv.com/VEG.